His name isn't a household word like Brad Park, or he isn't likely to get stopped for autographs like Walt Kachuk, but he was instrumental in both these boys becoming New York Rangers. He's a key man in the Rangers operation, yet he hardly ever sees Madison Square Garden because he works 7 days a week from October to May scouting for new Parks and Kachuks. He's Steve Berklasich, the director of player personnel for the New York Rangers.
A scout lives out of a suitcase. One day we could be in Winnipeg, the next day we're in Edmonton, over to Calgary. Next day I could be in Dallas, Texas.
As soon as Steve's checked his next plane reservation, it's off to Selkirk for a Manitoba Junior League game between the Selkirk Steelers and the Kenora Muskies.
If you ask me how many miles I would put on a year, 100,000, maybe 150,000. I cover between 165 and 180 games a year. We not only cover all the professional hockey leagues, we cover the top junior leagues in hockey, we cover the colleges, as well as senior hockey clubs.
The main function of NHL scouts is to grade the junior players who become eligible for drafting by the pros in June of each year. And so Steve has very extensive files on every promising 20-year-old player in hockey. That night, it was back to St. Boniface for another game between the hometown Saints and the Winnipeg Monarchs.
There are 4 things that I believe can put a boy into the National Hockey League. Number 1 is skating. Number 2 is checking. Number 3 is desire. And number 4 is shooting. A boy who can get 3 of these things, I feel, can make the National Hockey League. Every game that we cover, we have to make a scouting report on, and our scouting report is sent on to New York and kept in the files of the boss man, Emil Francis.
Rangers chief scout Lou Passador arrived the next day in time for the Western Junior All-Star game.
You got your list there. There's supposed to be another kid on that U.S. national team other than that big chap we're looking at.
Lou's in his 20th year as a scout, and he's found some good ones, including Alec Del Vecchio and Walter Kachuk.
See how the kid.
Over. Charlie Shaw, Toronto.
Bob Leduc from Three Rivers.
Thank you, Stephen.
The director of the New York farm system is Dennis Ball, presiding over this meeting of the scouting staff.
Good.
Jeep George from North Battleford, Saskatchewan, is Rangers' Western scout. And Boom Boom Jeffreyon, no stranger to Hockey Night in Canada viewers, rounds out New York staff of 5 full-time scouts. Johnny Walker and Bruce Cheatley are 2 part-time scouts working for Rangers in the Winnipeg area.
We also have part-time scouts from Victoria to Halifax, Nova Scotia. They do a tremendous job for us in the sense that when we come into their respective areas, they have an advanced booking on the better players in the league, and we look them over.
Steve Berklasich is only one of many hockey scouts in the crowd at Winnipeg Arena this night. Toronto has General Manager Jim Gregory, Vice President King Clancy, Chief Scout Bob Davidson, along with Torchy Shell and Johnny Bauer. Claude Ruel and Ron Caron are there from Montreal Canadiens. Chief Scout Peanuts O'Flaherty is there from Vancouver. Weston Adams Jr. and Sr. from Boston, and their scout Gary Young. Detroit's Donnie Graham. Keith Allen and Alec Davidson from Philly. Punch Imlek from Buffalo. Pittsburgh's Jack Riley. Lynn Patrick, Cliff Fletcher, and Frank Mario from St. Louis. Ed Chadwick is Oakland's scout. Ren Blair, Harold Cotton, Ted O'Connor, Johnny Mariucci, and Jerry Blair, all from Minnesota. NHL scouts, of course, cross paths continually, but they keep their opinions and their scouting reports to themselves.
Never have I given any inkling to the opposition as to the future draft choices. You kid each other and say, well, the big team's going pretty good, and you laugh and joke, says yes, but when you lose 2 in a row, usually they shy away from you because they know that you're suffering because they've suffered too, and you just hope that you can come out of it.
After some scouting work of our own, we gleaned 10 names who could be wearing NHL sweaters by the time next year. Guy Lafleur, the rangy right winger of Quebec Ramparts, has them all talking, and he scored over 100 goals in each of the past 2 seasons. Marcel Dion, St. Catherine's Blackhawks centerman, is small but deadly at 5'7" and 160 pounds. Jocelyn Guibremont captains Montreal's junior Canadians, and he's a top defense prospect. And the Baby Habs have another good prospect in wingman Richard Martin, who possesses a sizzling shot. Right winger Steve Vickers of Toronto Marlboros also rates highly. And John Garrett of Peterborough Peach is acclaimed as the best goaltending prospect in recent years. Out west, Flin Flon Bombers centerman Gene Carr has caught the scouts' eyes, as has his right winger at Flin Flon, Chuck Arneson. Center Larry Wright, in a Winnipeg Jet sweater here for the All-Star game, is the kingpin of the Regina Pats. And this big defenseman Ron Jones of Edmonton Oil Kings at 6'1", 185 pounds is another top blue line prospect.
Biggest satisfaction you can get as a scout, knowing a boy that you watched for a few years and that you eventually had something to do in him being drafted by your team, and eventually seeing him play for the first time for your team, and knowing that he's playing well and that he'll be around for a long time.
We'll be seeing a lot more of these juniors we saw a moment ago. In June, we'll find out whose NHL jerseys they'll be wearing. And of course, Steve Berklisich hopes his Rangers get the last pick, because that would mean New York has finished first.
The other teams, naturally, they're building, and they'll get these kids, and these kids will be superstars. And I doubt we'll be fortunate enough to get one of them in the next 3 or 4 years.